Isaac is free. 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 And we're going to keep saying that. Because as we all know, we are a community that takes care of each other. We're in Pasadena, Altadena, where we're still recovering from the fire. And we're also recovering from ICE. But what we've learned these last few months is that we take care of each other. And we're also showing the world that when they mess with one of us, they're messing with all of us. So that's why we have community here. And that's why we had community last week when we heard that Isaac was detained again. He was taken away from his beloved community here in Pasadena, his beloved park, Villa Park, his beloved tacos, La Estrella Tacos. Again, he is known as El Panama. With his big smile, he rides his bike all over Pasadena, saying hi to people, smiling with people, because that's his community. But he was, again, once taken. But what did community do? We organized. And once we heard that he was taken, we organized. And now he is home. And now Isaac is free. And he's going to continue to be free because that's what the community is going to continue to fight for. Because one, Isaac fights for all of us. He's our neighbor. He's a community right activist. And he's home. So we thank you for all for coming. My name's Jose Madera. I'm the director of the Pasadena Community Job Center, which is part of the National Day Labor Organizing Network. And again, we're here for Isaac and everyone that is being detained unjustly, inhumane, everyone that is in Adelanto and in all these detention centers that are treating people inhumane, that are going through these conditions where they're not being fed, where they're not being clothed, where they're not looked as human. And that's why the community is continuing to organize to get people like Isaac free. And now Isaac is home. Isaac won't be joining us. When he came home yesterday, he was feeling a little sick, so we wanted him to rest. But here we have a group of fighters, again, that helped Isaac be free. And again, this is our community. This is how we take care of each other. So first up, we have Stacy Tochin, who is the attorney for Isaac.
Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Stacy Tolchin, Tolchin. I'm an immigration attorney here in Pasadena. And I wanted just to update everybody about Isaac's case. Yesterday, we did receive a temporary restraining order from the district court ordering Isaac's immediate release from custody. He was released last night from the Adelanto Detention Center. He is home now. We are thrilled that the rule of law has prevailed and that the law is being applied. And what's important to know about Isaac's case is that he was arrested without any reason. He was arrested because we believe that he has been fighting for his rights and targeted because he is speaking out and fighting for all of our rights to be sure that we are not unlawfully arrested and detained by immigration law enforcement. Now, Isaac's case is continuing before the immigration judge, where he's arguing that his June 2025 arrest was illegal. He was arrested just a few blocks from here, actually, in Pasadena, where he was standing on the corner with other day laborers waiting for work and was targeted for no reason but his skin color and his work. And we know that that is unconstitutional. He will continue to fight for his rights and for all of our rights to be sure that Pasadena, Los Angeles, California, and other people in this country are not being held unlawfully in violation of the Constitution. We want to thank everybody for their support and for all of the support for everybody who has been raising their voices and fighting and for coming out strong in violation of all of these unlawful acts. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Stacy. Again, Stacy is a fighter, a chingona, is just relentless in, again, protecting community. And again, like I mentioned, our community is strong, is very united, it's very organized, and we're going to continue to fight for Isaac because, again, he's fighting for us. He's fighting for all our rights. So we're going to continue to fight for Isaac. So now, and again, this is a collective effort. And Isaac, along with Pedro, along with Carlos, are part of the main plaintiffs in the lawsuit. And we have many different organizations that are part of that lawsuit. And today we have Mohammed Tartsar from ACLU, who's also going to speak.
Hi, everybody. Mohammed Tajsar, that's Mohammad Tajsar. I'm a senior staff attorney at the ACLU of Southern California. The ACLU, alongside numerous other partners and organizations, represent Isaac and other individuals and organizations in a class action challenge against the federal government for their raids and their immigration enforcement operations here in the Los Angeles area. So I'm thrilled to be with all of you this afternoon. I was angry last week, but I'm thrilled today. I'm thrilled because I'm thrilled to welcome back respect for Isaac. I'm thrilled to welcome back dignity for Isaac and others. I'm thrilled to welcome back morality for Isaac and for others who have been targeted by the federal government. I am thrilled as an ACLU lawyer in at least this case to welcome back the constitutional right that all of us should enjoy to petition and to grieve for our constitutional rights to the federal government, a right that is fundamental and sacred and written in the First Amendment to the United States. That's why I was irate last week and why I'm thrilled today, because that very right to petition the government, to complain to the government when they have violated your rights, to go and organize and to file a lawsuit against the government when they have done you harm, that right was a right that the government refused to protect when they arrested and rearrested Isaac last week. And so at least in this case, I am thrilled that we can all say that the Constitution and people's individual rights to petition the government have come back to all of us here in Southern California. So what does that mean for us at the ACLU going forward? And what does that mean for everybody else watching and everybody else who also wants to be able to protect their First Amendment rights to grieve for their own violations against the government? Well, I could tell you from the perspective of the ACLU, we will continue ourselves, along with our many other partners, to continue to fight to ensure that anytime an individual has been wronged by the federal government, anytime an individual has had their liberty deprived by the federal government, that anytime that an individual has had their dignity and their worth and their respect tarnished by the actions of the feds, that we are here to support their ability to sue the government, to complain about what the government has done, and to seek accountability for the government's misconduct. That's what we commit to everybody here in Southern California. And what then do I expect of everybody else? Right? It's not just the ACLU, it is not just CHIRLA, it is not just our organizations, our elected officials. All of us have to be part of this fight. So what do I expect from everybody else who wants to ensure that they can protect themselves against the federal government? Well, anytime you are out there want to complain about something the government has done, any kind of government, I want you to think about the bravery of Isaac when he stepped forward to challenge his arrest back in June and to petition the government and to ensure that what happens to him does not happen to anybody else within this community or nationwide. I want you to think about Isaac. So when you get a parking ticket and you think it was unfair and you want to appeal it, I want you to think about Isaac. If your child was denied an accommodation in their school on account of their disability and you want to grieve that with their school district, I want you to think about Isaac. when you want to complain to your local city for not installing protected bike lanes that can make the lives of you and your children safer, and your local city doesn't want to do that, and you want to go to the city council and talk to them about that, I want you to think about Isaac. And when you or your loved ones or your friends or your family members are viciously unjustly abducted by the federal government, snatched from your home, and taken to a detention facility to rot in cages simply because you dare to live your life in dignity and peace, I want you to think about Isaac, because what Isaac did for all of us was to stand up to the federal government and to say to the federal government that no, we all have the right to sue the government when they have committed wrongs. We all have the right to seek accountability for when the government does unjustly horrors to them, and we all have the ability to organize collectively to seek a better life for our neighbors and our community members. So with that, I look forward to working with all of you, not just Isaac, but all of you, to continue the work that Isaac has started this past summer to ensure that we can get to a place where we do not have to be arrested to speak our minds. We do not have to fear that the government will come after us if we want to speak up about what we think the beautiful society should be. So with that, I would want to really send appreciation and love to my friend and colleague Stacy Tolchin, to the National Day Laborers Organizing Network, to Isaac himself, and to all of his colleagues and clients for standing up to the feds. Thank you so much.
Solo el pueblo. Solo el pueblo. Solo el pueblo. And that's what you're seeing here today. And like Mohammed said, we need all of us to protect each other. And that's what we're doing here in Pasadena, Altadena, a community that's still recovering. But Isaac is showing his courage. And that's what we need, that courage for all of us to protect each other. And last year, Isaac, along with Pedro and Carlos, received numerous awards, again, for their courage. And one of the awards that he received last year was from Congresswoman Judy Chu, who's also here to show support of Isaac and everyone that's been detained. So we have Congresswoman Judy Chu.
Hello, I'm Congressmember Judy Chu, and I want to thank the National Day Labor Organizing Network for their extraordinary work in standing up for Isaac Villegas and for immigrant communities across this nation. I first met Isaac last July when I honored Endelon as my Congressional Nonprofit of the Year. I chose Endelon because of their relentless advocacy for day laborers, migrants, and low-wage workers, people who too often are not seen, and not heard, and not protected. And they were doing this all in the face of these terrorizing raids by ICE. That day, Isaac was there as a guest. He was forced to wear an ankle monitor. He was living under unjust conditions, and he was required to report regularly to ICE after being taken in on one of their unlawful acts on June 18th. Now, I will never forget what happened that day almost 1 year ago. He and other day laborers were just a few blocks away in front of Winchell's Donut, ready to go to work, when ICE showed up, pointing weapons at civilians, taking these laborers for no good reason. And so my office began receiving urgent calls as videos showed them being taken away unjustly. And in fact, these agents raced through residential streets without presenting warrants, without identifying themselves. This was not about public safety. It was about intimidation tactic. And when one young man tried to videotape them, the agent jumped out of the car ready to shoot that young man dead. These actions put our entire community at risk. So when Endelon reached out for help, I immediately sought to conduct oversight, as is my ability as a Congress member to do. I went to the ICE detention facility in downtown Los Angeles known as B18 to meet with Isaac and the others who were arrested. But despite my legal authority as a member of Congress, I was denied entry. This was an alarming outcome because when oversight is blocked, accountability is avoided. Still, we did not back down. Isaac was released a month later, and since then, he's done everything that ICE has asked for of him, following every condition placed on him. And yet, just 1 week ago, he was arrested again at one of these very check-ins. So let me be clear about why. It was because Isaac was a plaintiff in a class action suit challenging the Trump administration's unlawful roving patrols, actions that violated the Fourth Amendment. Isaac stood up for his rights, and that's why he was targeted. As soon as I learned of his arrest, I worked with Endelon to take action. In fact, we were supposed to go visit him in Adelanto this morning, but thank goodness the visit did not have to happen because Isaac was released. And we are all relieved that Isaac is home, but we cannot lose sight of the bigger picture. He should never have been arrested in the first place. He should never have been arrested for simply sitting at a bus stop. He should never have been arrested for doing his lawful duty and checking in with ICE. And that's why we will not be silent. We will continue to demand accountability, and I'm confident that Isaac and the other plaintiffs will prevail. But I also want to speak to the fact that Isaac is feeling sick right now. It's because he came from Adelanto. This is a place with a horrific record. Since the start of Trump's second term, 5 people have died either in Adelanto's custody or shortly after being transferred from it. I've asked for answers to these deaths because in total, 13 lives have been lost in Adelanto. That is more than any other detention center, and it is because it is run by GEO, a private prison group that's made billions of dollars profiting off the misery of detainees and off of depriving them of basic things like food and medication. This is more than horrific, and it is why for the last decade I've demanded that Adelanto be shut down. We are better than this, and together we will keep fighting for Isaac, for justice, and for every family that deserves to live without fear. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Free them all. 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 So like we said, Isaac is fighting for all of us. And we need to fight for everyone. So that's why we say free them all, because we need everyone home, back in their community, back with their families. And that's why we're organizing. And I had the pleasure this week of going to Sacramento and fighting along with Senator Sasha Rene Perez in different bills. Bills to support immigrant communities, bills to protect immigrant communities, bills to support also the Eden Fire survivors. And it was a long week, but we're gonna keep fighting, just like Isaac. So now we have Senator Sasha Rene Perez to say some words.
Good morning, I'm Senator Sasha Renee Perez, and I want to remind everybody that we are here today to celebrate that Isaac has been released. That is why we are here today, and it was community who did that. It is the community members that you see here, Endelon, the Pasadena Job Center, the attorneys like Stacy and Mohammed, them doing the hard work to make sure that we are getting an innocent man released from Adelanto Detention Center. Now, Isaac is a part of the Pasadena 3, and as you heard earlier, he was racially discriminated against when ICE detained him. Myself and Congresswoman Judy Chu traveled down to MDC after folks were taken. We waited for hours to try to make sure that we could get vital medication in to the individuals that were detained. And they made family members wait for hours just to deliver medication. This is utterly unacceptable and gives you a bird's eye view into the horrendous human rights violations that are happening in these facilities. Eventually, after waiting 4 hours, family was able to deliver medication, but that never should have happened in the first place. This arrest was unconstitutional to begin with, and we know what has happened and the reason why Isaac was targeted yet again. He was detained and arrested because he is a plaintiff in a class action lawsuit against the federal government for discriminating against Latinos, against working class individuals. And we must be very clear about calling that out. The federal government is utilizing its surveillance machine to target individuals who disagree with them, who are fighting back against them, and it is utterly unacceptable. But I want the federal government to know that we have community here today that is going to fight them tooth and nail to ensure that we get our community members out of detention facilities, that we are going to organize to prevent them from surveilling our communities, that we are going to organize to shut down detention centers. And we've introduced legislation to do just that. California is here to fight back every single step of the way, and Pasadena is here to fight back every single step of the way. That's why you just heard Jose and the other folks here were up in Sacramento to make sure that these stories are heard. So today we are celebrating, but the fight continues. Isaac's story and what he has done, his bravery to stand up not just for himself and for his family, but for all of us against a federal government that is discriminating and targeting not just Latino communities, but people who dare to challenge the federal government needs to be held back. We need to hold them accountable. And that is exactly what Isaac is doing, and that is exactly what every single one of us must do. It is our duty to fight back against this fascist administration, just as Isaac is doing today. So thank you all so much for being here. And can we get a round of applause one more time for our community who has been fighting tooth and nail and who got yet another person released from immigrant detention. That is what community action looks like. Thank you all so much.
And yes, organize. We need to continue to organize. That's how we protect our community, and that's how we're going to continue to protect Isaac and everyone else. When Isaac was first taken, again, community organized, and there was a crew of lawyers, organizations that fought for him. And then when he was able to be free, there was a crew that organized that went to Adelanto to pick him up, that took that 2 to 3 hour drive to go pick him up. And then when he was rearrested, redetained, again, community organized. And that crew, again, organized and took that 2 3 hour trip to go get him so he can be home now. So now we have Brenda Lopez who's going to speak.
Good afternoon. My name is Brenda Lopez, and I am a community organizer with Endelon. That's BRENDA, last name LOPEZ. I am deeply grateful to stand here with you all and witness what true community power looks like. Last night, we brought Isaac home from Adelanto for the second time. For the second time, we made that 2 hour drive that Jose is talking about to this detention center, passing that sign that reads, "Welcome to the city of Adelanto, the city with unlimited possibilities." And every time it feels like a contradiction, because for so many of us, that road has never meant possibility. It has meant pain. That road has never led to anything more than court hearings, to visitations, or to picking up our loved ones late at night after they've been released. I think about the mothers, fathers, brothers, and children still sitting inside the facility. People deprived of their freedom in a place that claims unlimited possibility. Let me be clear. Isaac should have never gone through this. Not the first time and absolutely not the second time. We are told the country stands on the Constitution. We are told that the law protects us. But what happened to Isaac was not justice. It was nothing more than retaliation. And we will not stay silent about that. Because today, we are not just here to celebrate Isaac's freedom. We are here to send a message. A message that when one of us is targeted, all of us stand up. A message that our community will not be intimidated. A message that we will continue to organize, to speak out, and to demand accountability however many times it takes. Isaac is home. He is where he belongs, with his community. He should never have had to go through this. He should have never been taken in the first place. And he should have never been detained a second time. And that truth should shake every single one of us. But Isaac's story is also one of resilience, of courage, of unwavering strength. He stood up not just for himself, but for everyone else who has been silenced, targeted, or made to feel powerless. And because of that, Isaac, your voice echoes far beyond this moment. So let this be a reminder to all of us here today. When we stand united, when we refuse to look away, and when we fight for one another, we succeed. Isaac, thank you for your courage, your resilience, your strength, and to everyone here, thank you for continuing to show up and for standing firm with our community, because this is what true community power looks like. Thank you.
Solo el pueblo. Solo el pueblo. Thank you, Brenda. And again, Adelanto is this place of horror and hate. Last month, 300, 400 people went to Adelanto to bring love and solidarity through a serenata. And a serenata is a musical performance that you usually do outside, and you bring that to someone that you care deeply about, someone that you love. And that's what this community did. It brought this love and music to people that were in Adelanto so they can hear us and say, they're not alone. They're not alone. And we have here Cal Soto, who goes on a weekly basis to talk to people in Adelanto, to hear their stories, hear their cases. And this week, before Isaac got released, Cal was able to talk to Isaac. So we have Cal Soto from the National Day Labor Organizing Network to come and speak.
Good afternoon. My name is Cal Soto. I'm the Workers' Rights Director and Staff Attorney at the National Day Labor Organizing Network, NDLON, and I work on a weekly basis, as Jose just said, with our members and day laborers and other immigrant workers who are being picked up unlawfully throughout our communities and sent to detention centers around the state and the country. Specifically at Adelanto, where every week I go and visit and talk to people who have been detained there, some for many months, some for a short period of time. And yesterday I was able to see Isaac before his release yesterday afternoon. And today I want to say that I am celebrating, and I hope we are all celebrating the release of our brother and our friend, Isaac. Can we celebrate today? Yeah. That's right. Isaac, El Panama, a day laborer, a plaintiff, and a civil rights defender, was arrested twice now by the federal government under circumstances that his legal team and at least one federal judge say are unconstitutional. His most recent arrest came just days before a critical hearing in his own case. Let that sink in. A man was taken by federal agents days before he was set to appear in court in a case about whether federal agents had already violated his rights. The federal court saw through what this was, and thankfully, for the work of our tireless legal allies like Stacey Tolchin, like the ACLU and others, that federal court saw through it and intervened and issued a TRO, a temporary restraining order. And today, right now, Isaac is free. That's right. Yeah. We're grateful for that, but we're also clear-eyed about the implications of his arrest. Isaac was held at Adelanto, which is in the city of Adelanto near Victorville, about 2 hours away from right here, this spot. In 2026, that facility may be the deadliest immigration detention center in the country. The most people of any immigration detention center in the country in 2026 have died just 2 hours from this spot. The conditions inside there aren't accidents. They are the architecture of punishment and retaliation. The courts that are in that facility in Adelanto are not neutral. They're pressure chambers, and they are being used to serve a political agenda, not the law. Immigration detention in this country has ceased to justify itself on any honest public interest ground. It enriches private companies and investors. It silences workers who speak out. And it was used, specifically in Isaac's case, and we believe in many more cases, to try to stop a lawsuit in its tracks. It didn't work. It did not work. It didn't work because of allies like our legal team, because of allies like the community here, the workers, the people of Pasadena, the people who love and respect the work that Isaac and many others have put in. To Pedro, to Carlos, to Brenda and Natalie, who drove until 10 p.m. last night to pick Isaac up. It didn't work because the community, el pueblo salva el pueblo. Solo el pueblo? Solo el pueblo? It didn't work because people like Isaac, before I left yesterday, I got to meet him at Adelanto in that room. And before I left, we needed to do some paperwork to try to make sure that we were able to intervene as quickly as possible. And what did he ask me? He didn't ask me when I'm going to be out. He didn't ask me how likely it is that he'd be leaving today or tomorrow or after the weekend. He passed me the names of 3 people that he met inside the center to make sure that we were able to follow up with them because of their illness, because of their sickness. Isaac is defending us. Pedro and Carlos are defending us. And just like Mo said earlier, if we can't stand shoulder to shoulder with them, then we have no business being out here. Can we stand with Isaac and fight with him? Yes. Can we stand with Pedro and Carlos and fight with them? Yes. Can we stand with all of the political prisoners in Adelanto and across the country in immigration detention right now and fight for them to be released? Yes. We will continue fighting through Vasquez Perdomo, through all the lawsuits, through every individual case until every person is free. We're fighting for accountability. We're fighting for the release of every person in those walls tonight, and we welcome Isaac home. Thank you, Isaac, and thank you all for being here. Bye.
Thank you, Carl. So here we have the band Los Juarenores del Norte. They're the ones that went to Adelanto and brought that love and solidarity in music. And they're doing it in every protest, in every march, in every corner. Yesterday, when Brenda and Natalie went to pick up Isaac and bring him back to Pasadena, his beloved city, it was the Jornaleros del Norte that welcomed him with music. And that's where we saw that big smile that we're always talking about. That big smile here from Pasadena. That big smile that everyone knows, oh, there it goes, El Panama. So now we have here Pablo Alvarado, who's going to speak about that moment.
Thank you, Jose. Yes, last night it was around 10 p.m. when Brenda, Natalie, and Charlotte came with Isaac, and the band was here practicing a new song. I don't know the lyrics yet because we're barely practicing it, but it starts like this. Le duela a quien le duela, aquí mandamos. ¿Qué más dice, Lolo? Le duela a quien le duela, aquí mandamos. And I saw Isaac shared with us that he was exposed to COVID while he was in detention center in Adelanto. I think he has an injury in his knee. despite the fact that he wasn't feeling well, the beautiful smile was there. And I know that we talk about dignity like if someone can give it away or take it away. No, dignity is inherent to every human being. If there is something that Isaac has, is enough dignity and love. And it spills all over this beautiful city when he goes in his bike and people call him, ahí viene el Panamá. There's Panama coming because that's his nickname, el Panamá. So that smile is everywhere in this city. And if there is something that is very clear about this moment, is that undocumented people are the ones who are fighting for the constitutional rights of everyone. And it's the government that is behaving as a gang. It's the government that is committing illegal acts. And it's only oppressed communities that are going to turn that around. When oppressed communities decide to fight back, just like Isaac, Carlos, and Pedro Vázquez Perdomo are doing it, when they win, when we win together, everybody wins. That's been the history of this country. When women didn't have the right to vote, they fought to vote, and they won that right. When African Americans couldn't vote, they fought for that right. When they weren't considered people, human beings, full human beings, they fought for that. Isaac, Carlos, and Pedro are continuing that struggle. That's basically it. And everyone here is accompanying those three folks. That the day that they were arrested, they were actually going to remove debris in the burned areas in Altadena. That's who they are targeting. That's why on June 13, we're doing a human chain that's going to go from Lincoln to Lake. Homeowners, contractors, workers, people who live in those communities are going to come out, and we're going to tell ICE, hands off Altadena. So please put that date in your calendar. It's June 13th. Finally, I want to close by thanking the day laborers who come to look for work in this job center. I'm also grateful to the staff at the job center at Endilon. I'm grateful for the elected leaders, for Congresswoman Judy Chu, for our sister Senator Sacha Rene Perez, for standing up, for not being afraid. Very few politicians call this regime a fascist regime. Our senator does. So thank you. Very grateful for that. So from now on, I was actually talking to some of the workers before this event, and they were saying we have to be there when any one of us is attacked, because this is the only way that we can fight back, and we cannot give in. And I'm so grateful for Isaac because he didn't give in. Y voy a decirlo un poquito en español porque yo sé que no hemos hablado en español. Estamos muy felices de que Isaac ha sido liberado. Y ha sido liberado porque ha luchado y porque hay un pueblo detrás de él. Y también porque hay una abogada de las más chingonas. And I forgot to say that Isaac has one of the greatest immigration lawyers in this country, Stacy Stolchin. Yeah. La más chingona. O eso no puede salir en televisión, ¿verdad? Una de las mejores abogadas de inmigración en el país está representando a Isaac. Por eso es que Isaac está libre, porque hay una comunidad detrás de él. A Isaac se le conoce aquí en esta bella ciudad como el Panamá, porque es de Panamá y tiene una bella sonrisa y anda en su bicicleta y es parte del paisaje de esta bella ciudad. El día que lo agarraron, que lo arrestaron por primera vez, junto con Carlos y Pedro, iban a limpiar escombros que quedaron de los fuegos que sucedieron el año pasado. Entonces, muchas veces nosotros hablamos de la dignidad como que si la dignidad fuera algo que alguien la puede quitar o la puede dar. No, la dignidad es inherente a cada ser humano. Y si hay algo que Isaac tiene, es mucha dignidad, mucho amor, que se desparrama con su sonrisa donde quiera que vaya. Ayer, Isaac no estaba vencido. When I saw Isaac yesterday, he was not defeated. Will you say that you have the same feeling, Brenda? He was not defeated. No estaba vencido para nada. Estaba con la frente en alto. He was with his forehead held high. Así estaba Isaac ayer. Y ese es el ejemplo que toda nuestra comunidad debe de emular. That is the example that every community, that all of us have to emulate. Being detained twice in that jail, we saw him the first time. We saw the trauma in the three of them. But we also saw how their smiles came back because the community accompanied them. Vimos como la sonrisa de esas tres personas que ahora son demandantes en esta demanda federal. Vimos cómo el trauma les había afectado, pero vimos cómo su sonrisa regresó. Ha ido regresando poco a poquito, y eso es porque la comunidad los ha acompañado. The smile of these three strong men, has come back because of their families, their immediate families, and because of community. And that's what we have to do with every person that gets detained. ¿Estamos? Porque solo el pueblo. Solo el pueblo. ¿Y cómo comienza la canción, Lolo? Le duela a quien le duela, aquí mandamos.
Thank you. Now, if anyone has any questions for the lower elected officials, now is the time.
Yeah. So the court date for the immigration court, where we're arguing a motion to terminate because the arrest in June of last year was unlawful, was this morning. It's now been set over until May 7th. The immigration judge wants to see what happens with our federal court case and whether or not Isaac will be detained. There's one of the issues in this case is that, as Congresswoman Chu mentioned, there is an Adelanto immigration court where the judges are not neutrally applying the law as due process requires. We don't believe that people get a fair hearing, and we believe what happened in this case was an unlawful arrest in order to try to change venue from a judge on what we call the non-detained calendar to the detained calendar. And in fact, we know from running the data from the Adelanto Immigration Court that they issue removal orders in almost 90% of cases, whereas the national average is about 50%. And we really do believe this is a manipulation of the immigration courts by the Department of Justice, which is beyond unconstitutional. Sure. So on the federal lawsuit, and that was filed last Thursday after Isaac was arrested, we have what's called a petition for writ of habeas corpus pending. And once we got notice that Department of Homeland Security was trying to change venue from the non-detained calendar to the detained calendar, we filed an application for a temporary restraining order. That was granted yesterday, and that resulted in Isaac's release last night. Now that is a temporary order, and so the next stage is what's called a motion for preliminary injunction. And then we believe ultimately we should get a decision in this whole case probably in about 2 to 3 weeks. Any other questions?
Well, again, thank you for coming. Again, solo el pueblo. Solo el pueblo. And like Pablo said again, June 13th is we have the Human Chain. We'll send out more information. We also have an event May 5th here at Villa Park, musical festival in the afternoon, so people can come. And also to support day laborers, immigrant communities, you can hire workers here at the Pasadena Community Job Center. So we're asking community to support day laborers, and also in front of the Home Depots to support the day laborers there too. So thank you for coming, and we're going to keep organizing.
Y esto va para toda esa raza latina con sabor a jornalero del norte.
Mi nombre es Marta.
Hi everyone, my name is Evelyn.
Hola a todos, soy Jesús, buen día, soy jornalero.
Mi nombre es Martina. Trabajo limpiando casas.
So we invite you.
Los invito a sintonizar
Y los invito a escuchar mi radio.
Radio Jornalera.
Sintoniza Radio Jornalera, la única radio donde escucharás a gente como tú hablar de temas que impactan directamente a nuestra comunidad. Inmigración, derechos del trabajador, clases de inglés, música que te conectará a tus raíces y mucho más.